Yes. A very warm good afternoon to all of you. I myself Tanu Gurung welcome you all to this 1 hour training session on blended learning in 21st century. So let's begin this session with the objectives that we are going to cover in the session. Here we are going to cover blended learning, its meaning and its need. Second one is benefits of blended learning. The next is models of blended learning. Next is limitations of blended learning along with precautions. Over the last 2 years, learning institutions worldwide have seen massive changes. The pandemic has resulted in a shift in the way educators teach. And while some changes may be temporary, others could be here to stay, although the concept of blended learning has been around for a while. Its use and limitations have been very much in the focus. Here, we are going to take a look at the essentials of blended learning as well as providing a blended learning definition and what models are available. The term blended learning has becoming a hot topic in the education world, but what does it actually mean? And how does it affect a typical classroom teacher and its environment? Okay. So now, in the first slide, I have given a picture which says different learning, problems require different solutions. Each learner has a unique learning style and a unique requirement. For decades, a traditional classroom has involved one teacher for 10 or more students, and by necessity, teachers are limited in how much time they can spend with each student one-on-one. The pace of instruction must continue at an average speed. Teachers have been teaching to the middle, which can be too fast for some learners and too slow for others. In a traditional classroom, it can be difficult for teachers to determine exactly how well each student know a particular concept because they are responsible for so many students and so many concepts. Now, technology is available to support teachers and allow them to individualize instruction. Program can gather data, engage students, and maintain instructions while the teacher facilitates and provide one-to-one support for unique learning styles. Teachers are vital to the success of our students, and as technology evolves, it should be used to support them and their learners. The ever-changing world of technology and ever-increasing demand for technology skills make it clear that it's the time to educators to evaluate their role in the classroom and determine if their curriculum is designed to help students become successful in this environment. As the delivery of content shifts from the teacher to a wide variety of online and traditional media sources, many teachers feel like their role is diminishing. But in fact, it is quite opposite. The role of teacher is more critical to student success than ever before. The role of an educator in the 21st century is to guide students in dealing with massive amounts of content, to develop the skills and understanding necessary to use technology as an effective tool in a responsible manner, and to assist the students with developing their personal living learning styles. New advancement in technology has brought changes and challenges from traditional to more advanced mode of the teaching learning process. To say a shift from traditional chalk and talk classrooms to technology-based, web-based learning, electronic learning, mobile learning, electronic resources, cloud computing, and blended learning or hybrid learning. this, which combines electronic-based learning and traditional learning environment. Blended learning Blended learning is about finding better ways of supporting students in achieving the learning objectives and provide them with the best possible learning and teaching experience, as well as supporting teachers in their profession. Now, we are going to understand what is blended learning. Blended learning is all about finding better ways of supporting students in achieving the learning objective and providing them with the best possible learning and teaching experiences, as well as supporting teachers in their profession. Okay, blended learning, it is also a learning approach formed with the combination of different learning environments and activity types for a certain group with the addition of electronic sources to the face-to-face learning. Here, we can clearly see blended learning gives you multiple approaches to learning, combines. It is the combination of face-to-face learning with the online delivery of contents. Blended learning it is a formal education program in which a student learns at least in part through online delivery of instruction and content with some element of student control over time, place, path, and pace, and at least in part in a supervised brick and mortar place away from home. Now the next topic, which is okay. So the next topic is why blended learning is needed. Blended learning Blended learning helps in achieving better students' learning experience and academic outcomes and effective teaching management. It is all about effectively integrating information and communication technologies into designing course and in turn enhancing teaching and learning experiences for both the students and teachers. It involves amalgamation of delivery modes, teaching approach, and learning style. Through the integrate blended learning can enhance both student engagement and teacher efficiency. While it may require more instructional attention, the time can be made up easily with clearer data, expansive instruction, and unique teaching opportunities. When you invest time into creating a blended learning atmosphere, the payoff is highly engaging classroom that promotes student interest and learning. Through the integration of educational technology tools, content can be available for student learning on a 24-hour basis. Individuals' need and learning styles can be addressed more effectively, and learners become more accountable for their own education. Now, the next topic is models of blended learning. Here, we have 6 types of models of blended learning. The first one is face-to-face driven model. Second, rotational model. Third one is flex model. Fourth one is online lab model. Fifth one is self-blend model. And the last is online driven model. The first one is face-to-face driven model. Of all the blended learning models, face-to-face driven model is the closest to a typical school structure. With this approach, the introduction of online instruction is decided on a case by case basis, meaning only certain students is given class will participate in any form of blended learning. The face-to-face driven approach allows the students who are struggling on working above their grade level to progress at their own pace using technology in the classroom. The first one is the face-to-face driver. As the name suggests, it is very obvious that the main mode of instruction with the student here is the face-to-face mode. It is very much similar to a regular classroom kind of a situation where the students and teachers are interacting face-to-face and components of online is added to that interaction. This is very easy for a teacher for blended learning approach. That interaction in blended learning, this may be the first step to follow when the teacher doesn't have to change drastically the way of teaching and the way of handling the content. The next model is rotational model. Rotational model. In this form of blended learning, students rotate between different stations on a fixed schedule, either working online or spending face to face time with the teacher. The rotational model is more widely used in elementary schools, and the models students became more active learners and often challenge themselves to work harder and learn material that had not yet been introduced in their classroom. In this model, where the students are rotated in various stations of various points, where they are given different kinds of learning experience. At this point, they are able to avail the benefit of every activity that has been designed for the students from one of these activities on one of these points, where the students will have the opportunity to interact with the fellow students and the teacher through online mode. The next model, the next model which we have is flex model. In this approach, material is primarily delivered online, although teachers are in the room to provide on-site support as needed. Learning is primarily self-guided as students independently learn and practice new concepts in a digital environment. In this model, most of the teaching learning process happens to the online mode, but that online mode interactions happens in a brick and mortar kind of institution. And the students, that means they come to the school classroom, or they come to the education institution or any university, but they interact with each other and they learn through the online mode that is made available to the students in that institution or in that premises. In this case, the students are given different kinds of supports by the teacher on site. Through online mode, from the teacher is available to them. At times, the teacher is also available to them through face-to-face mode, because if the students are learning from online mode, then the main certain difficulties which are handled by the students is available to the students through the face-to-face mode, and thus this kind of teacher support is very crucial for the students. Now the next model is online lab model. The fourth type is online lab model. In this, students learn entirely online but travel to a dedicated computer lab to complete their coursework. Adults supervise the lab, but they are not trained teachers. This not only allows schools to offer courses for which they have no teacher or not enough teachers, but also allows the students to work at a pace and in a subject area that suits them without affecting the learning environment of other students. In this case, as the name suggests, that is a laboratory available. Different kinds of laboratories are available online, and the students keep on moving from one lab to another lab depending on the content. There are different kinds of lab are made available to them. The students are keep on learning using this kind of laboratories. The students are also supported with the video conferencing, video conferencing, or even the pre-recorded video conferencing. Uh, at times, even a discussion through discussions forum or even email. So the students are not left on their own completely, but there is a continuous support by the teacher by using the various modes that are made available to them. Next is self-blend model. In this approach, the individuals will attend a traditional school environment. They also opt to supplement their learning through online courses offered remotely. Self-blend is ideal for the students who wants to take additional advanced placement courses or who has interest in a subject that is not covered in the traditional course catalog. In, in this approach, the learner autonomy comes in a big way. So in this case, the learner is given most of the learning happens through online mode, but this learner also attach face-to-face mode classes, but it is the autonomy or it is the freedom, choice of the learner that what part of the syllabus one wants to learn through online mode and what part of the syllabus one wants to go for the face-to-face mode. So here, as we say, is that in order to make this kind of choices, learner has to be mature enough to take such kind of decisions for making the choices of the mode that are available. The last model is online river model. In this form of blended learning, students work remotely and material is primarily delivered via an online platform. Although face-to-face check is optional, students can usually chat with teachers online if they have questions. This model of blended learning is ideal for students who need more flexibility and independence in their daily schedules. The last model, which is available, is in this model, the course is available only through online mode. The teacher is also available through online mode. So there is a support given to the learner, but it is through the online mode by the teacher. It may be through the discussion forums, maybe through blogs or so on. While most of the learning happens through online mode, there is also face-to-face mode option available to the students. The students are learning at remote place from their homes. Maybe they are enrolled for a particular course and they're learning, but the face-to-face mode classrooms are made available to them to a little extent, but whether to attend these classes or not is completely left to the learner. So it is the learner's choice. So if the learner is completely empowered or is matured enough to learn only through online mode, then one may decide that I don't want to go for this face-to-face mode classes. Now, we are going to see the advantages of blended learning. An increase in learning outcome, an opportunity for students to practice technology skills in navigating online course material and creating their own digital content for assessment. An increase in student teacher and student interaction through the use of communication tools like okay, student interaction through the use of communication tools like discussion forums, blogs, and shared web content on the electronic whiteboard. The ability to reserve face-to-face time for interactive activities such as higher level discussions, small group works, debates, demonstration, or lab activities. Flexibility and the freedom to learn anytime, anywhere. Some level of control over the pacing of the learning. Difficult concepts can be reviewed as often as necessary. More engaging content, that they can create and use their own initiatives and networks to shape the opportunity to engage and draw on expertise that would otherwise not be available to them without costly travel, such as virtual conferencing with Zoom museum gallery, or virtual excursions to overseas historical or culturally significant landmarks. Broaden the spaces and opportunities available for learning, support course management activities, for example, communication, assessment submission, marking, and feedback. Support the provision of information and resources to students. Engage and motivate students through interactivity and collaboration. Blended mode brings lots of opportunity to the learner as well as for the teachers, but it also brings certain limitations and challenges that the teacher faces while using the blended mode. Here some are disadvantages of blended learning. Of course, as with many methods of teaching and learning, there is potential for downsides when it comes to the blended learning. Below, I have picked some of the drawbacks of the both learners and educators. Disadvantages, disadvantages for learners, access to resources. A blended learning model often requires students to utilize technology outside of the classroom. Not every learner will have equal access to the resources, which can make online learning difficult or even impossible. Next is supporting individual learner. There is no catch uh, all approach to education. Students with different needs and digital literacies may not find technology based learning as accessible without the right level of support. A lack of direct contact. Although Although self-directed learning can be beneficial, learners that are struggling with online material may not be able to find solutions by themselves. Now, the disadvantages for educators. It's often a bottom-up approach. Teachers or other staff often have to take the initiative with blended learning. As such, there is a need for formal instruction and professional development to support their blended learning practice.
अब क्लास
The
में जाके
infrastructure may not exist. It
आवाज
can
आ
be
रही है
difficult to set up
हाँ?
the internal
मेरा
structure needed to implement blended learning. The resources and budget may not be available. Time constraints moving towards a blended learning environment can take time, as well as the necessary setup and logistic training and material preparation is often needed. It can be difficult to manage this time alongside current teaching requirements. Now, here are some precautions that the teacher should be take care during implementing blended learning. The teacher should be very clear about the content. He or she should decide the blend of the modes of instruction appropriately for effective learning to take place. He or she should be aware of about the previous experience of the students and their learning styles. He or she should decide the ways of monitoring student engagement. Think about the ways in which feedback will be provided to the students. Now, thank you. I have completed my presentation. Thank you for all for giving me your time.
हो गया
Thank you, ma'am. Well done.
Assessment link will be shared to you in a minute. If you have any questions,
कोटि सा धन्यवाद लीव कर सकते हो ना?
बोल के मत भेजिए, कुछ और भी लिखा जाता है आगे assessment.
Assessment link has been shared. Please kindly fill the form.